Here's a memorable moment from the Adam Carolla Show's Ace Awards archives.
Even when I do Tony Soprano,
Fuck that Uncle June thinks he's on the bush.
Right.
Friend of New Jersey. When Uncle June is not, I'm the king of the boss of New Jersey. All my guys know that pussy Shell Christopher. Even Uncle June and Johnny Shack.
So, with Tony, it's the shh.
Like Hesh. Talking about Hesh and Jadish.
Right.
So if you hit those notes, man, you're in pocket.
The 2025 Ace Awards, coming this December. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
All right, Mayhem, you got some news?
I do have some news. You'll be happy to know the UK Women's Pool Championship match features 2 biological males. Yeah.
It's funny. I was just saying the other day, why do we even have a male and a female billiard group? You don't really need much.
Yeah. Well, this article points it out that the champion, and I guess the champion who won. Who won? Up to the date, right now it happened where the woman won who was a biological male, I may say, defeated another one.
Well, it's going to be...
I feel like this is a non-issue, right? It's like, who cares? Shouldn't they have just gone in the men's bracket, women's bracket?
Look...
Everybody, I want to see a biological woman beat a man at it.
Okay, here's the thing. Men have advantages in sports over women. My God, when you watch the McDonald's All-Star High School game versus listen to me. The McDonald's High School All-Star team, which is comprised of probably 16, 17, and 18-year-olds, maybe more 17-year-olds. I don't know when you graduated. Yeah. I turned 18 at the very end of high school, whatever. 17, 18-year-old males.
Yeah.
Would dismantle a WNBA All-Star team. Dismantle, because they play above the rim.
Yeah.
So they would destroy them. So that's that. So they have advantages. That's fine. And so we have categories for women, because whether it's basketball or pole vaulting, men would dominate, and then it wouldn't be fair to the women. So we created a women's sport, and now men have moved their way into the women's sport, and they are winning, which seems wildly unfair to women. But if you bring that up, then they accuse you of being a misogynist, or I don't exactly know what their angle is.
Yeah. What am I?
I would prefer biological women to not be beat by men in sports. That's what I would prefer. Now, I don't know if that makes me a misogynist, a heathen. I don't know what that makes. I don't know what that makes me, but that's really pretty much what it is.
The winner of this event won 1,800 pounds.
So and probably could squat 1,800 pounds as well. So it's 2 men posing as women who won the women's pool championship in the UK. All right, well, keep going, everybody. I guess this is progress. This is a good thing. And then there's 2 biological women who were beaten out at some point by these 2 dudes who grew their hair out. So that's how they won it. Okay. Then if the biological woman who got beat out by these 2 dudes says anything, then she's going to be attacked by groups who love women.
Then she can join the right wingosphere, and there you go. She got a whole career.
Yeah, she'll be Riley Gaines. All right. Well, this is going to continue happening. By the way, whatever it is they say is not happening is always happening. We just have to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Remember, like Aurora, Colorado? Like, there's barely any Trinidad-Ragua gangbangers in this neighborhood. It's like they're all over the fucking place. The border's closed, essentially. No, it's not. No, whatever it is you said isn't happening is always happening. You just get the vaccine, and then you'll be fine. It'll shut the thing down, and you'll go on and be happy forever. Okay. Put the mask on, too. Yeah, it all works. We're always right.
Still, you mentioned Colorado there. The Democratic-controlled Colorado State House passed HB 25-1312, a.k.a. Legal Protections for Transgender Individuals, which makes misgendering all individuals, including children, a discriminatory action.
I love that they're... Listen,
There's a very like woke kind of mentality.
By the
where
way, you're
saying the wrong syllables.
if
gets
your
you mad up.
dad, and then once you arrest it, if the dad calls his son, who's been his son, who's his biological son, who got his brain scrambled by some freakazoid teacher in a public school and is now putting a dress on, and if he calls his son instead of his daughter, then he's going to get into trouble, which, by the way, does sound pretty Orwellian and a little scary to me.
Yeah.
And also, the misgendering part, I don't feel like it is that devastating to a person who's grown up in a certain body for many, many years before they get traded to another team.
Yeah.
You know, like I've said it before, like OJ finished his career as a San Francisco 49er. OJ was known and broke the rushing record and got 2,000 yards as a Buffalo Bill and was an all-star as a Buffalo Bill and it did all the commercials, and he was always a Buffalo Bill. And at the very end, when he was pretty much done, he ends up being a 49er. But I think if you called him a Buffalo Bill,
He'd be like, yeah.
in like 1981, he wouldn't get all freaked out that you didn't acknowledge him as being a 49er.
He wouldn't stab you in the neck.
No, he wouldn't try to cut your head off or your friend who brought you your glasses back or something like that. So I'm just saying, if you're going to make this transition, be prepared.
Yeah.
For some of this.
I think, it needs to cool out. You know
and you
what I mean?
can deal with it yourself. We don't need legislation for this.
They want the cops called. Get on the ground. Call him he. No.
Misgendering.
I feel like, you have to have a little sense of humor about
When
this, everybody.
Listen, you know what's weird? Colorado and Minnesota went nuts. And Colorado and Minnesota were just places that had snow and, Paul Bunyan and Rocky Mountains and Bud Grant, coach of the Vikings and stuff like John Elway.
Yeah.
Like Colorado, the Orange Crush defense, Mile High, Bronco. Like Colorado was just Colorado. I don't know when in Minnesota it was always just Minnesota. And then they went fucking nuts like in the last 8 years. And I don't know what's going on. But
Everybody moved from California to Colorado, pal.
that must be it. 'Cause they're going to ruin that state with their idiotic shit. All right.
All right. Hey, teens are delaying getting their driver's license, and parents want to know why.
Ugh.
Yeah.
They don't even want. They don't want to drive.
No, I know. Yeah, the big thing I got out of this study was that, they got the internet. They got it in their pocket. A lot of their communication is done via the internet, so there's no reason to leave that. I remember as soon as I got a bicycle, I was gone out the neighborhood.
Well, we wanted freedom.
Yeah.
They don't want freedom.
They want popularity.
Yeah, or whatever it is they want, it's not freedom. So for me, I was raised in a sweat box with a depressed fat mom, and I was like, I get out of here. Like there's no food.
I was in a danger zone with beer bottles come flying.
Yeah, you want to get out. My whole plan was get out.
Yeah.
And get out as early and often as fast as I could. And so they're living in a place full of air conditioning and hot pockets and big screen TVs, and they ain't going anywhere.
You had teens recently, like did they get their driving license immediately? Were they up out because I imagine, interconnected, you're all day long on Instagram. What's the point in leaving if you're talking to chicks all day?
They didn't care. My son has no car. I've asked him on more than one occasion, would you like to look into getting a car? He's like, I'm good. I don't know what 18-year-old male
Uber?
says I'm good.
See, that's the other thing in the study was that Ubers were a big part of it. People just leave in rideshare.
He likes to walk everywhere. Once you get an electric bike, man, you get anywhere in a city faster than you can in a car. He's got an electric bike and does not care. And there's nothing in it for him. Like a car used to mean freedom, but it was also a thing. Like it was part of your personality.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you'd get a car and you go, I'm gonna get some rims for my car, and I'm gonna get this catback low resistance exhaust, and it's gonna make some noise. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I'm
I
gonna get a
remember this.
low flow, low restriction air filter and see if I can get another 5 horsepower. I mean, I used to sit around and just go, look. You get these camshafts, you get another 7% horsepower at 7,000 RPM, and you get this header system on there. You get this much. You get a turbo. You get that much. Like it was always.
Yeah. I tricked out the custom van, like made it like had a bed in the back, turned into a bed. I had a disco ball. I had the speakers just out there. It was like a disco.
Oh, really?
Hell yeah, it was bumping. I was just parking outside the rave. Yeah.
Bring the ladies back.
Bring the ladies,
What
you
year
know,
was-
dot. It was like 99, 2000, baby. I was like, it was a good time. I'm telling you, Ace, you missed it.
Let me tell you what. Let me tell you the saddest tableau ever, which was when I used to clean carpets. One of the vans we had was a killer 70s custom van that had fallen on hard times and was now a carpet cleaning van. But it was still the same van, but it was a broken down.
Remember
Boogie Nights?
Yeah.
He got the Corvette, like the red Corvette, and then later on, when they're all strung out on meth, you'd see the busted up Corvette driving along with all of them sitting in it to go rob the drug guy's house.
Yeah, I get it.
That's what it was like.
The dilapidated corpse.
Yeah, the thing said in airbrushed handwriting on the door, it said Radical Rich. Because Rich got this van for his 16th birthday in 1975, and it was the coolest
Sick.
thing ever.
That was
it had
83.
the Krager rims on it. It had the captain seats that swiveled.
I had that. Yeah.
Wooden steering wheel,
Yep.
Blaupunk stereo. It was a killer midnight blue with light blue pinstriping custom van for Radical Rich, but that was 10 years ago, and now it was a busted up carpet van.
Radical Rich is in rehab.
Yes. So, yeah, your car was like your personality. You knew everyone kind of put their own flavor on their own thing. Everyone kind of knew who everyone was by their car. You could hear them coming. There were guys who had people name their cars. I knew a guy named Jeff Katz had an oar mounted on top of his car, upright, a half a paddle. I don't know why, but that's what he had. And everyone had their own thing going on.
Yeah.
And now everyone's on a scooter with an Uber, and they got an electric bike and everything. No one cares. There's no pop in the hood.
No.
What's under the hood? No one knows what's under the hood. There's no anything. What is going on?
The bygone era.
Yeah, so now I got an 8-year-old son. So he's like, I'm like, you want a car? I don't know. Why don't we get like an old Mustang and fix it up? Okay, good. I don't care. He doesn't care. Nobody cares.
It's strange, yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted to get our license to get out.
Yeah.
And I got my license as fast. I failed driver's ed. People know the story, but I failed driver's ed, and I wanted my license so bad. My driver's ed, I took the second semester in the 10th grade, so I would have turned 16 right before I graduated, and right before I graduated driver's ed. But Mr. Gregory saw fit to fail me from driver's ed, even though I attended every day. I was just a bad student. And so I failed, and now I was 16, and it was summer, and I had no driver's license and no school, and I'd failed driver's ed.
So you were just fucking off the test every day? Like you wouldn't even read the book? That's what you're saying, bad student? You're just like, because I figured driver's ed, do some driving, do some, you got to figure
Well, that's
out.
driver's training. This was ed. Sat in a classroom. Now, what I did is I relied heavily on the kindness of strangers. I kind of I've had this happen in life. I've been burned a few times where I'm like, oh, they'll take pity on me. They'll take pity on me. I thought there's sometimes I've been people
Why?
take pity.
Take pity about what? That you can't figure out how far to stop before the crosswalk?
No. Mr. Gregory said, look, I showed up every day. I took all the quizzes and the tests.
You keep saying you were did good, but you were there every day. That's your only qualification for being good at driver's ed. Was you showed up.
I had friends that just cut classes completely, but we ended up in the same place, which an F. And I would always be like, I got the same grade you got, but I showed up every day, and then you got the same grade I got, but you went to the fucking reservoir and had fun with your girlfriend? And we both got a fail. What am I doing?
I get it, yeah. Should at least get a participation.
Look, all you got to do is pass driver's ed. You don't need to get an A or B. You just pass. And then once you pass, you get a fucking certificate that says you passed driver's ed. And then you take that to the DMV and you can get a learner's permit or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'd already failed biology the semester before in Mr. Dilberti's class, and I knew my GPA. I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't working on a GPA.
Yeah.
I had nothing to brag about, so I didn't mind a D. I needed to pass. I needed a completion slip. So I showed up every day, and then he said at the end, everybody, he goes, look, this isn't a requirement from the state or anything like that. And you wouldn't get it if you're in Mr. Smith's driver's ed class. By the way, Mr. Smith, who was the assistant football coach who fucking loved me and was a cool dude. Guy was like Mac Davis. And I ended up Mr. Gregory, the weird angry guy's class. And he's like, I need a 10-page full written report on passive restraints or airbags or crumple zones or fucking whatever. And I was like, 10-page type report. Like,
he just did that to failure.
He just did it to everyone.
Oh, everyone.
Everyone.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I can't.
Drone on for 10 pages?
I can't type 10. I'm not capable of writing 10 pages. I don't even. First off, I don't know anyone who has a typewriter. We don't own a typewriter. So how am I going to do this report? I don't have a book. I don't have a typewriter, and there's no one I know who owns a typewriter. Actually, my friend Zeb had a typewriter, actually. But he's not going to write 10 pages for me. So I was just like, I'm just not going to write the report. And then he'll look at me, and I'll go, you didn't turn the report in. And then I'll go, oh, fuck it. I'll give you a D-. Here's your, get out of here.
Yeah.
He failed me. He failed me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
He just wanted you to make an effort, Carolla.
So then I got out, and I realized I failed driver's ed right when I got out of the turn 16. So I just took my I would always take my birthday money, would be $20 from my dad, $20 from my mom, and then $10 from my stepdad. Why not? 10. And then I would get 10 from my grandparents usually, and I put it all together.
Yeah.
And so I had like $60 together, and I took the $60 and I gave it to like the Sears driving school or whatever it was, and magically you could take a full semester of driver's ed and mash it into 3 12-hour days. At a strip mall in Van Nuys.
Yeah.
And I just sat there with a bunch of fucking losers across the street from the
getting your DMV,
the
GED.
DMV, and just sat there. Just, and by the way, I'd already went through all this shit in Mr. Gregory's class. Then I stamped that, got my learner's permit. Then went to driving school for, whatever the stupid, I don't know how it worked. And then I got my thing, and I got my license fast. I could get my possible license. My kid's not interested.
At all.
My daughter, a little bit. My son, like, At some point, you get them interested in it because, they're 17 and a half. They're like, could I get a ride over to, it's like, get your stupid license. You could drive yourself over to your friend's house. And then, Yeah, I remember my nephew stayed with me once, and we were like, we were going over to Bill Simmons, the sports guy's house down in Malibu for like the 4th of July. And I was like, I kept saying to him, like, you want to drive, right? And he's like, yeah, I want to drive. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna get my party on at Bill's house for the 4th of July, but you're driving. You're the designated driver. You're driving home, right? And he's like, yeah, all right. And then we're leaving. He's like, I don't want to drive. I'm like, you got to drive. Now you got to drive. He's like, I don't know. I'm scared. It's dark. I'm like, everything's an automatic. What is? By the way, we had to drive cars that had a stick shift and a clutch and were finicky.
And
you know
no
what
window
I mean?
or muffler.
Yes. I don't know what's going on. They don't want their freedom. But it's our fault. So if I said to my kids, look, you guys are used to 7,300 square feet and air conditioning and a full-time nanny and a flat panel TV that's 75 inches. They go, and a phone. And I'd go, yeah. They'd be like, yeah. I go, all right. We're going to move into a shit box in the valley that's 900 square feet. There will be no air conditioning. Your TV's going to be 13-inch Zenith black and white. Give me your fucking phone. Nanny, you're fired. Well, then they'd want to get the fuck out of there.
You're right.
That's what happened. Everybody I knew was incentivized to move out as soon as they turned 18 because they were like getting into fist fights with their stepdad, or the house was a sweat box, or there was nothing to eat, or his dad got drunk and threw a beer bottle at me or whatever. My stepmom got drunk and came on to me or whatever. And then she tried to put a cigarette out on me when I was naked and stuff. They're like, not luxury. If I had luxury and a Sub-Zero refrigerator, 48-incher filled with food, and an indentured servant who was cooking, then I'd still be at home too. But I had none of those, so I wanted to get out. So they don't want to get out. It's not about cars. It's not about a license. They're not incentivized to leave.
There's escapism too. Everyone's phone is connected right to their brain. They can just recede into that world instead.
Yes, they're living in some digital world somewhere, and we wanted to like go to the beach. Go
to the beach and park right on the beach.
Right on the pier, right there.
Well, you'll be happy to know that San Francisco is launching a new program backed by Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom that will issue speeding tickets based on income. Yeah, speed safety system pilot program was signed by Newsom in October 2023 and allows cities across California to use speeding cameras to find drivers. Those considered lower income are eligible for a steep discount if they receive a speeding ticket, and if you make a lot more, you get charged a lot more.
Well, maybe, but I'm not totally opposed to this.
I'm not opposed to this because back when I was rich, Mayhem, I'll get a ticket and throw it right out the window.
Yeah.
Like, haha.
When you were rich, man.
Yeah, just rich guy Mayhem was just ridiculous. Throwing him out the window. I got very humbled by life and realized that's not the way to go, bud.
Yeah, well, okay, so I would say this to Gavin Newsom. It disproportionately affects poor people, and that's something we've talked about for a long time, which is before I got into show business, it's a little hard to tell from my Social Security number because I worked under the table as a carpenter a lot of the time. Sometimes people just pay you cash.
That's the way, bud.
But I probably, I would say averaged from high school to show business. I probably averaged $11,000 a year or something, maybe $9,000. Yeah. I don't know, that was the average.
Living well under the poverty line.
The poverty line wasn't quite as high as it is now, but it was still down there.
Yeah.
And then so a parking ticket was devastating.
Yeah, I know.
To me. And I'd got vehicles towed and I got motorcycles towed, and it was all devastating financially. And So I get it. I'm making, I'd be making $9 an hour, and then I'd get my motorcycle towed, and they'd want $75 to get out of the thing. I mean,
like half your savings right there.
A parking ticket would be a day's work for me. So it was brutal. But the other thing so I get it. And what Gavin Newsom should also be thinking about is gas being $5.50 a gallon kicks the shit out of poor people. It doesn't bother me because it's neither here nor there in my world. But if I was still driving a truck and making $20 an hour, then $5.50 a gallon gas makes a big difference. So that affects disproportionately the poor people. But also, in terms of like the numbers, like, okay, here's what I would sign off on. A parking ticket can be, or a moving violation could be, for the sake of argument, 1% of your monthly income or some version of that. Whatever worked out, but I'll just say
1%. No, usually like a speeding ticket is like $300, isn't it? $200.
Well, let's see. If you make $3,000, a month, let's just say for the sake of argument, then $300 would be 10%. Right. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, 10% of what you make in a month would be a moving violation. But now, if you're a rich guy and you make $100,000 a month, then it's $10,000.
Chuck it out the window.
You gotta pay. You gotta pay.
Oh wow!
But I do, in general, look. If you would like to make things less burdensome for folks who get speeding tickets or parking tickets or whatever, I'm all for that. There's another thing you can do is stop gouging everyone for speeding tickets. That would help them as well. And then there's another part where I think San Francisco, maybe even Los Angeles, has a thing where they don't cite people of color for jaywalking.
What?
I would cite them more, but only at night because they cannot be seen. They are ghosts at night. They go right. They're going to get hit. No, because a disproportionate number of black men jaywalk.
Yeah.
I would say my plan would be to get them to not jaywalk, not cite them. That's going to get more of them run over.
Yeah.
But I would also stop making this rule for rich people and this rule for poor people, and there's a mansion tax, but you only have to pay it if you own a house more than $5 million. Like, stop making this rule and that rule. Don't have different. If you're doing admittance at a college, don't have test scores for Asians that are different than blacks, that are different than Hispanics, that are different from men, that are different from women. Just have one thing.
Well, for this, I don't know. This seems like kind of a good idea because, like I said, while Mayhem was just throwing him out the window, didn't care, and kept speeding. You get it? I had that young guy mentality of, I'm just going to, whatever, to take it, who cares? So by upping the penalty, if you're making more money, it really encourages you to slow down, right?
I think about it. I probably did a lot more speeding when I was poor.
Yeah. And not me, man. I was no license, no driving in the mirrors the whole time, hands at 10 and 2, sitting straight upright. Yes, sir, no, sir.
When you're poor?
Hell yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't have car.
No insurance at all.
I didn't have car insurance for, I would say, let's see, if I started driving at 16 and I started making money in show business at 31 and a half or something, then that gives me a 16-year window of driving. I'd say 16 years of driving in Los Angeles, I had auto insurance for 19 months.
Right?
Out of that 16-year period.
Yeah.
And that would just be comp and collision, the bottom, the least amount possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drove cautious. I never wanted to get into an accident, obviously. I had to put my fuel cutoff switch and do all the shit because I didn't have insurance in my truck.
Yeah. I always drove like I had a body in the trunk.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's what we got to tell
That's
people,
what you
but
tell
they
the
don't want to
kids.
drive. They don't want to drive. It's the funniest. God, I'm also going to tell my son, like, you don't know what jack off young half criminal dudes are, like what we grew up with, you know? I remember I lent my buddy, my buddy said, I need to borrow your truck to like pick up a pinball machine or move something. And I was like, okay, but listen, I used to give everyone speeches, you know, this truck is all I got. Now it ain't insured, and I don't have anything. And if this truck busts down, I'm out of work because I need this truck because I'm a carpenter. So yes, you can borrow my truck, but you need to be careful with it and take care of it. And the guy goes, yeah, no problem. And then I was like riding my motorcycle that same weekend. He was borrowing the truck. It's like riding my motorcycle back to my apartment, and it was raining outside, and I was driving by the Gelsons in Studio City, and it was it was like 12 at night or 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I looked at the side, and there's an empty Gelsons parking lot, but it's blacktop and it's wet.
Yeah.
And I noticed there's a guy doing donuts in a truck, full drift, sideways, just spinning out, just sliding, empty just doing donuts in an empty parking lot. And I'm like, is that my truck? That's my truck. Then I went and found the guy, and I was like, I gave you a whole speech about my truck. Yeah. And you're doing donuts in a wet parking lot in the middle of the night? And he's like, hey, man, started raining, was slick. There's nobody in the parking lot, so I went for it. I'm like, wow. Wow, did you not get you got none of my speech. You got zero retention of any of my responsibilities.
It might be a bad time. Maybe I should do it off the air. Can I borrow your truck?
No.